Welcome to the Motoring Podcast, your weekly discussion of motoring news. This is episode 618 on Wednesday, the 12th of February, 2025. Hello, I'm Alan.
Hello, I'm Andrew. And this week we'll be trying to work out if we should laugh or cry at one company. In new car news, we'll be asking which board member at one brand owns a car name badge making business. And in points of interest, we ask if up-to-date administration across state lines is the final frontier. But first, we have a smidgen of follow-up. And the first is, oh boy, Nissan-Honda merger. It looks like it's absolutely imploded. So, dear.
Why has it absolutely imploded, though, Andrew?
It has imploded because Honda have apparently turned round and gone, you know what we said about being equal partners? Well, we don't believe that's going to happen now. You will be subsidiary to us. We will be the major partner. And Nissan, on the surface, quite rightly turns around and goes, that is outrageous. How dare you, etc., etc. However, there is some reasoning behind this from Honda. They haven't just thought, let's pull the rug at the last second and stuff them over. There has been market capitalization valuations have gone on for both these companies. Honda has one of £31 billion, whilst Nissan is valued at around £8 billion.
It's not just a billion or two between friends.
No, this is quite a difference.
Yeah.
I can see why Honda suddenly turned around and went, yeah, there is no way you are equal.
Yeah. As a result, Nissan shares dropped by another 4%, moving the market cap even further down, and Honda's share price rose by 8%. Moving their value up and therefore widening the whole gap that had caused the problem in the first place.
Oops. Well, now, the outcome from this, I've seen it today and we've not got a link in the show notes at the moment. We've got a link to an Autocar article that will discuss this further. But I've seen today on social media that Foxconn is now being mentioned in the same sentence as Nissan. And it's very much of, oh no, we're just here to, we're seeing if we can help Nissan in any way. One question is, will Foxconn just buy Nissan and take it over?
Probably could, you know.
Well, is Renault going to try and get out as quickly as possible as the share price continues to drop?
No, Renault still holds about 36% of Nissan. They will do quite nicely out of whatever happens, you know, and selling, I think, would be the least favourite option. Anyway, other news, VAUXHALL will be closing the LUTON plant before June this year. This follows an earlier decision by Stellantis to consolidate all of VAUXHALL's UK production at Ellesmere Port. This has been batted back and forth for ages.
Yeah, it was first mentioned in November they were going to shut it, but this is the confirmation of when.
Oh, it's been pre-Stellantis. It was voiced many times as well.
Yeah, they've been under threat for as long as we've been doing this show, haven't they? Well, and longer than that. But
Longer. It's all a bit of a, I don't know, there's been lots of things said, I think, by Stellantis over the last little while, saying we're not going to make the zero-emission vehicle mandate, we can't possibly do it if we've still got that plant, all these kind of things, and, you know, having the plant there is going to mean we don't, and that kind of thing, and it turns out that they're going to close the plant and meet the zero-emission vehicle mandate this year as well. Lots of contradictory stories from them.
All right, Alan, it is still remotely, well, not really, but thanks to the way the SMMT produced the new car registration figures, it was post last week's recording.
Yeah, we just kind of missed it. But the new car registrations for January 2025 were published on the 5th of February, and they're down. They're down 2.5% year on year. January is always a quiet month anyway. It's not a great surprise that the numbers are low, but again, down 2.5%. It's getting a little bit past being just a rounding error there.
But also, I think that level, if we look at the longer term trends, I think that is more realistic of the new level the UK has. I cannot see that we're at the 2.5 million like we were in 2017, 2.5 million
new registration
numbers. I don't think we'll ever get there again. I think we have to accept this new reality, and I think the industry needs to accept it, and by extension, the government needs to accept it as well.
Yeah, unless they can do something amazing involving growth.
Yes.
All of that said, battery electric vehicles took up 21.3% market share in January. That's up 41.6% year on year over 2024. At the same time, diesel vehicles now holding at 6.2%, petrol at 50.3%, plug-in hybrids at 9%, and hybrid electric vehicles at 13.2%. Small growth for plug-in hybrids and hybrids. Massive growth year on year for battery electric vehicles, and a fairly significant decrease for both diesel and petrol. As far as who's buying them, pretty much down, but yeah. It's the private down 0.5%, fleet down 3.7%.
That's a worry.
And business down 2.4%. Well, people aren't really working at the end of December and start of January, so there's fewer business days in there, which may well explain that. Fleet, 62.4% of vehicles registered in January were registered to fleets, 35.9% registered privately, and 1.7% registered by businesses. I think I've just given all of those numbers in the wrong order.
No, you did it right.
All right, it would have made sense to do the actual percentages as opposed to the growth first. This is down ever so slightly from last year, but it's still higher than 2023, numbers-wise.
Mike Hawes of SMMT gave his usual statement, and funnily enough, is asking for help from the government. One of the things they're focusing on at the moment is the changes to the VED rates and also the what has been dubbed as the luxury car tax, which comes into play.
I think they've dubbed it the expensive car supplement rather than us who called it the luxury car tax.
Well, it's in SMMT's own words where it says dubbed the luxury car tax.
Oh, so it is, yes.
When launched.
Is that us?
I don't know, it could have been. This kicks in when a vehicle is over £40,000, and that's retail value.
A lot of cars are over £40,000.
Well, there was an article in Autocar today that was written by a friend of the show, Alex Grant, that was talking about leasing rates. And they were, it went into more detail about this sort of thing. The company being referenced was called Alphabet.
Oh yes, I know of them.
And their average lease was £57,500. I'm sorry, but start making more affordable EVs if this is... It does not encourage them to make affordable stuff if they are not pushed like this.
That's double the most expensive new car I've ever bought. Apropos of nothing, nobody really cares.
All cars are too expensive now. All cars have gone up a dramatic amount since 2020. It doesn't take rocket scientists at all to work this out, although some people still struggle with establishing why.
Should we do the top models?
Yes. Thank you for the name, SMMT.
Yes, it's
you
correct.
Are seen.
All the numbers are very low. Obviously, so many models are out there. Very low number for January as well. Number 10, the main MG ZS at 2,107 registrations. Number 9, the MG HS at 2,148. Number 8, Nissan Juke. Number 7, the Ford Puma. At number 6, the Peugeot 2008. Number 5, the Peugeot 3008. And it's with 2,567 registrations. Number 4 is the Volkswagen Golf. Number 3 is the Vauxhall Corsa. Number 2 is the Nissan Qashqai with 3,421 registrations. And number 1 is the Kia Sportage with 3,476 registrations. Really not that much between them. I mean, what's that? 1,369 registrations between the top and the bottom there. It's becoming almost meaningless, the top 10, to be honest. Should we go to the spreadsheet of doom?
Yes, let's go to the spreadsheet of doom, and I will do the dooming, as ever, and we'll start at the top.
It's your role in life, mate.
Thank you. Bath is down 73%. Alpine is down 76%. Audi is down 27%. Now, that's quite a chunk, actually. 2024, they registered 8,832 vehicles. This year, it's 6,433. That's a lot of pennies. Citroen is down 46%. Then we have Ford down 32%. Ouch. Very similar to Audi, really. 2024, they registered 9,696. This year, 6,636. Oof. But did they not have the Fiesta and Focus then?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Both of those brands, by the way, finished the end of the last year relatively strong. It may well be that stuff was pushed out the door before December 31st.
Yeah. Then move on to Honda, which is down 33%. Ineos is down 54%. Jaguar is down 41%. The Jaguar is just going to be down all the time now.
It is. It's going to be permanent downness of January.
Yeah.
The amazing thing there, by the way, is that they still registered 783 new vehicles.
Yeah. It's a lot of F-Paces.
Mm-hmm.
Maserati is down 50%. MG is down 19%. Wow. I don't remember MG dropping.
Me neither, especially with 2 in the top 10 as well.
Yeah. Wow. Okay. Mini down 20%. Nissan down 18%. Sorry, 17%. And then we go on to Seat, who are down 29%. Smart down 60%. Subaru down 41%. Toyota down 24%. So that was in 24. They registered 6,111. This year, 4,660. Probably need that urban cruiser to come on stream pretty quickly. And then other imports are down a whopping 24%.
Just quickly to note before I go into the actual numbers, Volkswagen registered more vehicles than any other brand in the UK in January, and Kia were next with 10,000 and something. So yeah, Volkswagen Kia very much at the top of the tree as far as registrations go.
Mm-hmm.
Good news, BYD. I have seen a lot. There are a lot of BYDs up here around Perth. Really are. Up 550.81%. Cooper up 23%. Fiat up 30%. Genesis up 47%. Jeep up 88%. KGM, formerly known as SsangYong, up 37%. Lexus up 54%. Mazda up 41%. Mercedes up 16%. Peugeot up 34%. Polestar up 216%. Suzuki up 19%. Volkswagen up 18%. And other British up 79%.
Congratulations to BYD on the MG award for this month with the largest percentage increase.
Yes, absolutely.
That is the SMMT stuff. I am going to take us to Stellantis because whilst they still hunt for a new CEO, they are still playing senior management musical chairs.
Pick me. Sorry.
One of the most well-known names, particularly in the British car industry, is Linda Jackson, who is the CEO of Peugeot, used to be in charge of Citroën as well. It is announced she is taking retirement after a 48-year career in the car industry. I think that she is the last of the Tavares appointed senior managers in anything to do with Stellantis. There has been a big brush has come through all the brands, including locally, and people have been moved around or moved on.
We see that. We cover more reshuffles within Stellantis than anywhere else, even more than Volkswagen these days.
Yeah, I'm really surprised they're doing all this before the new CEO comes in, who will be their own person.
Yes, because they're doing lots of things which they're trying to, streamline, simplify the organization, and increase local agility is another quote here. Thanks to Stellantis chairman John Elkann.
Thanks to Business Bingo.
It really is. Well, he's infamous for it. Lots of stuff, lots of people being moved around, shuffled from one place to another, maybe sideways a little bit as well. I don't think we need to read out everyone because nobody really cares who they are.
No,
but people being shifted from place to place all across Stellantis.
Yep. Do click the Autocar article link in the show notes so you can find out exactly who is going where and fill out your who's who map for Stellantis. Don't we all have one of those on our bedroom walls, or is it just me?
It's mostly just scribbled out. Yeah.
Or is it crazy wall? It's an actual crazy wall now.
Yours are written in crayon on sheets, and
Yes.
it's part of your fever dreams.
Yes.
Yeah.
People have to take them away. They bring in a wicker basket and ask me to unwind it and take that out.
Anyway, MOT Corner. We have a whole bunch of stories this week about MOTs.
Yes.
First up is a story from AM Online, where dealers are being warned of the chaos if they don't prepare for new MOT rules on recalls. At some point, there is going to be, according to data experts ADS, there is going to be a sudden rule change that introduces an advisory and automatic MOT failure for unresolved recalls on vehicles. The idea is that this is to basically force people to go and get the recalls done, make your cars safe.
Yes.
By essentially somebody else looking it up for them and going, no, this needs done.
Well, recalls are technically a safety recall, so technically it should have been covered by the MOT anyway.
Well, yes, but sometimes they're not things that are necessarily covered by the MOT.
But it's safety, isn't
you're
it?
Right. It's safety. What they're planning to do here is say, well, either your car has failed, if it's something serious, like was there some of the brake-related ones that were saying, don't drive the car?
Yes.
And then that, of course, would be an immediate failure. But then if it's something like a sticker stuck on upside down or something, then that would be an advisory. You should still get them done. But I think it's a really good way of raising awareness with people.
Yes.
About recalls, because maybe lots of people don't care, are they?
Well, I think they probably don't, because there is apparently quite a difference between the number of vehicles that should be recalled and the number of vehicles that have actually had the recall work done.
Yes.
For example, it was saying in 2021 alone, in this article that's linked in the show notes as ever, over 2.7 million cars were recalled, but fewer than 800,000 of them were fixed by dealers. That's still an
some of those will have crashed and died and whatever.
Some will be done by independent, some will no longer be on the road, but still that's a significant difference between what has been fixed and what should have been fixed.
ADS are estimating that over 50% of dealer databases contain outdated customer details, and about 1 in 5 lapsed customers are currently driving cars with unresolved safety recalls.
And this is, of course, one of the potential positives of a connected vehicle.
It is. It is actually, yes. It can not just tell you that you might not be protected if you don't take out this subscription for your Jeep, but it can actually warn you that really you should go and see somebody about something because that's important.
Look at that, me finding a positive for connected car. Look at that.
That is a good use for... I was just... What the heck is happening here?
Okay, that's it. It definitely is the end of the world now. Sorry, everyone. Thanks for coming along. Just, wrap up your business and we'll catch you in the next life.
Trump and Musk causing the end of the world. Andrew finding a positive reason for connected cars has just caused it to happen. Unbelievable.
Anyway,
so selfish.
Sticking with MOTs before the world does end, there is another move that is happening. The government is trying to prevent ghost MOTs, they're called, which is where a car is given an MOT pass without actually having even been seen by the MOT site. It is claimed.
Yes. MOT by post.
Yes. However, what they are working through, and they've already started this, and we've got a link to an actual .gov article, which is well written, and I have to say this about a lot of the .gov articles lately, they are written in plain English that we can all understand. I also like this one because they are working through and explaining and saying to MOT test centres, we understand this is not a simple thing to do. That's why we're working through it step by step so we can get it right. We need your feedback, but we need you to do certain things as well so then we can all get the thing to work properly. And what they're going to want them to do is to take a photograph of the vehicle in the testing station, preferably while it's being worked on, so not just in the car park or something.
Yes.
It's on a ramp, They want to see things like the license plate is clearly visible. They want to see that it is on the ramp and this sort of stuff. This is how they're working through these things. And it is important because if we are having a host of vehicles on the road that are on a spreadsheet or a database seen as they're safe and legal, and they're not, that puts us, every road user, in danger. And the people in the car as much as anything.
Yeah.
So I like how they're trying to do this one. I think it's sensible.
Yeah. Honestly, the gov.uk website generally in the UK is one of those sort of unsung things that we all take for granted. And then you go and you show it to a foreigner and they're like, this is amazing. You can find all sorts of everything here.
Yeah, I do have, to be transparent, I do have a friend that has helped certain departments to write theirs. And one of his specialties is plain English and helping to communicate.
On the other hand, electric van MOTs are now impossible, in inverted commas, to book, according to Richard Alcock at Motoring Research. Yes, businesses are calling for an official deferral for MOTs on electric vans after fleet operators report having to take vehicles off the road. The root of this is that many electric vans actually go above the 3.5 ton weight limit that we're also familiar with because of the battery, so they're certified at 4.25 tons. Now that means 4.25 being bigger than 3.5, that means they move up and become, instead of a light goods vehicle, they become a medium good. Anyway, it's towards the HGV. They're treated as HGVs.
Yeah.
As far as MOTs, which means that they have to be tested every year, right from the end of the first year of their life. And this has caused this short notice period has caused a glut of vehicles that haven't been tested yet, because they can only be tested at HGV testing stations, not just normal MOT stations, like a normal van can. And obviously there aren't as many of those, and they're busy anyway with HGVs, because trucks have to have far more regular inspections anyway. So they too tend to be very, very busy. And all of a sudden, when you've bought 200 vans all at the one time and they all need an MOT, you find that you've got a problem trying to find 200 spare slots for all the vans that were delivered within the same month to your fleet. And that's what's happening here. There is a calling not just to have it deferred, but also to have electric vans of 4.25 tons treated just the same way as a 3.5 ton van. However, some people are saying that it doesn't matter whether it's electric or not, it doesn't change the rules of physics, and that all the bits and pieces of a 4.5 ton van will wear out more quickly than all the bits and pieces of a 3.5 ton van, whether they're powered by electricity or not.
Yes. And there ends MOT Corner. And I'm going to take us on to something else now. And this is the news that the UK's Ministry of Defence has been allegedly warning employees to keep quiet in their cars, particularly if they happen to be Chinese cars, for fear that the Chinese government could be listening in. Anyone who's listened to us for some time will know that we have been saying this about all cars for many, many years. And my word, wait till they find out what modern cars can do and how easy it is to access the microphones or the internal cameras if they have them, or the internal data. Oh, dear.
It's worth mentioning Chris Randall on Electrive written this, and he does point out that it says, as the Daily Mail and Sun write, and then he goes on to say, these publications have been accused of tabloid-style writing and spreading of misinformation before, however, so the news should be taken with a grain of salt. It does seem to be, well, if it's a Chinese car, if it's a Chinese car, if it's a Chinese car, according to those two publications. Of course, Tesla have actually been doing this for quite a long time, and then just randomly scattering the recordings and the images and stuff all around the internet.
Well, famously, China banned Tesla cars from their annual senior party members meeting.
Yeah, for exactly the same reason. Just do be aware of these things. And I saw someone say, well, what about your telephones as well? I scrolled to the bottom half of the internet and then instantly regretted it. But, It's true anyway. Any electric device with a microphone's in and that kind of thing, you've just got to be careful. Just don't discuss important state secrets sitting in a car unless you know exactly what it is what's being said back and forth.
Unless it's a cunning double bluff.
Unlikely.
Anyway, do you want to take us to Derbyshire as we round out the first part of the show?
Moving on to Snake Pass in Derbyshire. There is an article on the BBC News website which is posed as a question. So, Snake Pass, could famous road close to cars? And as usual, when you get a question like that, that's the title of an article, the answer is probably not. But Snake Pass, which heads through Derbyshire across the hills there, it has serious issues with landslips and landslides. Derbyshire County Council is warning that it cannot afford to keep repairing the road and has asked for the government for some help in being able to deal with these landslips and help provide some sort of funds to keep repairing it, because it is an important trunk road. It's not just a leisure road. It is an important route across Derbyshire.
Yep.
That said, you read the rest of the article, and the article is actually worth a bit of a read, and it does point out that it's never really been the greatest investment in the world.
No.
Even when it was a toll road, it didn't make enough money to sustain itself. And it's not really built on very stable ground, and all of these things are starting to come back and bite it a little bit, to be honest. But it is a road with a fantastic history. It's impressive views and things, and it's just it is very impressive indeed.
Yeah.
Have a good read of this story. It is an interesting one. But yeah, the Department for Transport keeps saying that it's pointed out that it's not responsible for Snake Pass and doesn't hold contingency funding for major repairs of that sort. And at some time they might actually reply.
I think we managed it, Alan. We made it through the first part of the show.
We have. And nobody's been particularly ranty either, so that's quite nice for a change. Yet. But because we're through the first part of the show, that means it's Guilt Minute, the quick break in the show where we ask for Tanner financial support to keep the lights on and the hosting running. If you feel the Motoring Podcast is worth a small consideration every month, then you can become a patron. Different levels of patron include different levels of commitment from us to you, including being able to watch the show recorded live. We also have a small range of merchandise in our spring store, from stickers to mugs and t-shirts. If you don't have any spare cash, we do completely understand. You can help us by following for free from a podcast player to receive every show as they're released, and by liking and rating the show in whatever way your podcast supplier lets you. If you've done all of that, and some of you do, so thank you very much indeed, then the last thing you can do is to recommend us to your friends or colleagues.
Thank you, everyone that does. Very much appreciated.
Exactly.
Right, new car news, and I'm going to start with the Arctic Truck Land Cruiser 250, which makes me certainly want to rub my thighs as though I was Vic Reeves or Bob Mortimer. And because that ages me, I think that shows what the sort of people who should only own one of these. It's not for the young whippersnappers, they're not allowed these, but it is a lifted and widened and strengthened and lovely made new Toyota Land Cruiser that has not been sprinkled, it has been slathered by the Arctic Truck magic. It looks fabulous in this Haggerty article. I want it a lot.
It's basically they reprofile the frame. They fit a 10-piece wide body kit, which looks really good. And they fit a whole different suspension, wheel and tyre package. And, the wheel and tyre package alone really sort of sort out the problem with the new Land Cruiser and with the new Lexus GX550 in the US, which is the fact that all of the standard wheels are gross.
Okay, so just to give you an idea of how lovely the new wheels are, they are a dual-valve forged alloy wheel with 37-inch BF Goodrich all-terrain tyre or mud tyres. Yes. Oof, it just looks great. What it actually says to me, and I said this to you beforehand, but it reminds me of what a good design I think the latest Land Cruiser is.
It is. People are actually getting a chance to test them and try them in the UK now. They've been out in the US for quite a while. Certainly since last summer, I was having a poke about them. And they are good-looking cars. I mean, they're much better looking than the previous generation, I would say. The Arctic Trucks packages, they're
that makes everything better.
They work really well and they look great as well.
Yeah. Do click the link in the show notes so you can also lust after this like we have. Okay, Alan, do you want to take us to Audi and its flip-flopping decision-making?
You might have noticed that there's not a lot of new car news this week. It is pretty quiet on that. But Audi have announced that for their new cars, they're going to not do what they said they were going to do. I think we covered this in a story a few months ago.
Yes.
Audi were going to split model names for internal combustion and for EV models. And internal combustion engines were going to be odd numbers.
Yep.
And EVs were going to be even numbers, even if they were essentially the same car, like the new A4 and A5.
Yes.
Well,
they've had some feedback.
They've had some feedback from customers and dealers going, this is confusing. Please don't do this. It's confusing us. As a result, they've gone, oh, maybe we won't do that.
I love the fact here, just to use the quote from Oliver Hoffman, who was the head of Audi's technology. At the time that they announced this, said it was a clear and intuitive distinction between drivetrain types.
No.
We were not complimentary when we were reading this, and we got confused for several weeks because we kept tripping over this.
I mean, kudos to Greg Cable for this one. It goes on, and he says, to quote the article verbatim, it says, this led to notable shifts in model naming. The A4 was rebranded the A5, and the A6 was set to become the A7. The new A7, due to be revealed on the 4th of March, will now instead be called the A6, with the electric A6 badged e-tron and the ICE A6 badged Tifosi for petrol and TDI for diesel. But there will, of course, be an exception, because there's always an exception on all of these. It says, however, Audi has confirmed to Autocar that it has no plans to change the names of the new A4 and A5, despite the pair being effectively the same car, just powered by different drivetrains.
Yep. Oh, dear.
Audi had done this before with the 2530, 3540, 4550 numbering instead of engine capacities as well.
I think we've got a demonstration of what happens when you don't have new cars to reveal because CARIAD is behind by a couple of years and your product cycle is out of whack. So you need to do something to show that you are still about and in the news. And they've just made a misstep with this because it does look foolish. The first change looked foolish, and then reversing the change makes them look foolish again.
Yes.
But at least they've gone back to something more sensible. I will give them that.
Yes, that is a blessing.
Because many companies would be pig-headed enough and just stick with it.
Yeah, it does. It is a positive. They've owned up and gone, actually we were wrong.
Mm.
As I said, not much new car news this week, just because of the news, really.
Mm.
That means we're into points of interest and a lunchtime read.
Yes.
In fact, many lunchtimes worth of reading.
There is. This is a lot of lunchtime reads for you, all wrapped up in the one link. This is titled Seattle to Saratoga Springs, a cross the USA account of a raid to rendezvous. And this is about a road trip across the US in 2 CVs. No, that's seriously, in 2 CVs.
Wasn't just 2 CVs. I mean,
well, the main characters in what is written about is 2 CVs, but yes, it was
2 CVs. But there are other things, other cars too,
that were taken across there, and some non-French stuff.
Mm.
It's absolutely wonderfully written. When I was reading through, and I've only read through day 1, and there is day 1 through to day 15.
Mm-hmm.
I felt I was there, and I knew exactly what was going on and everything. And it's just brilliant. Well done for finding this.
Well, I don't know. I found it. I think it was presented to me by someone, and I went, "That's a lunchtime read," as is the way it so often happens. I should have made a note of who it was who shared it.
Thank you very much, whoever
sorry.
it was. We do apologise.
It's cracking.
If you get in touch, then we will acknowledge next week in follow-up, because we like to do that.
Absolutely. But yeah, I mean, it is 15 separate blogs, all linked together, all about driving across the US with loads and loads of pictures in loads and loads of places. Really interesting stuff.
Yep, great one, that.
List of the week this week is from Haggerty and Nathan Chadwick, and it's a very short one. It's 5 fabulous Fiats of the 1990s.
Mm.
I'm introducing it Andrew, you get to choose one.
I do.
90s were a good time for Fiats, really.
They were. I am not going to go for the usual suspects, though. I'm going to pick the first vehicle on the list.
I knew you would.
Now, the problem I've got here is I don't know how to pronounce the last bit of the name, but it's the Fiat Tipo.
Sedici Valvole.
Thank you. And this is a 3-door, warm Fiat Tipo. I like the Tipo.
I thought it was the hot Fiat Tipo.
Yeah. I like the Tipo. Mrs. Crack Windscreen's first car was a Tipo, 5-door, and it went on many adventures, and it got scared every time it saw a puddle. But despite that, it was still a lovely car, and it had so many wonderful little touches and tons of space as well. But yeah, I just love the shape. The design is so very, very clean, especially in 3-door.
Yeah, I mean, I was in the obviously when Jim McGill had took the Fiat Marea over to the US just before Christmas, which is now, I've forgotten where Andrea now lives, or where Andrea lives, but it's now much further west. And I was amazed, because I've not spent a lot of time in 90s Fiats. I bet it was a V-plate, and I was amazed just how solid it felt, and just how nice it was, really. And some of the ones, I think some of the cars on this list fall very much into that sort of category. I mean, although the smaller ones may not. But just despite everybody's jokes about them, it was just a nice place to be. And I'm going to be honest, from this list, I would probably choose the Tipo as well. It's probably the rarest on the list.
Yeah. I nearly bought the smallest one once.
Did you?
I nearly did.
No, I declared a bit small.
It was only me at the time. Anyway, it's a cracking list. Please do click the Haggerty link that's in the show notes and have a little gander yourself and read as usual, the well-written piece about each of the vehicles. Okay, and finally, oh boy.
I didn't think that you'd accept this one, but there we go.
I'm going to read the title because that goes on for quite some time. So, elderly woman says Star Trek license plate stuck her with thousands of dollars worth of speeding tickets. And this is a stunning story, really, because her license plate was the same alphanumeric ID as the Starship Enterprise out of Star Trek.
Which she chose, by the way.
Yeah, she paid extra each year to New York to have that license plate on a vehicle and be allowed to use that. However, she gave up driving 4 years ago, handed back the license plate, has nothing to do with any of it, but still keeps getting, but is receiving, she is receiving traffic violation fines and notices, and even contact from Ohio to discuss her potential involvement in a robbery.
And it's because people buy off-the-shelf New York novelty plates with NCC-1701 on them, and so they look just like her old plates.
And they stick them on their cars.
Yeah.
As well, this is the thing.
Stuff.
It's one thing buying them, but you stick them on your car and go, oh, that's all right, I can just drive around with that. It's like this madness. Yeah. However, what it looks like the real problem is because the New York Department of Motor Vehicles has been contacted over this, and they say, look, she's not on our records. Everything's been clear. There is nothing on our records that ties that license plate to her. There is no way it should be coming to her. It turns out that the information has not made it across state lines across the US for others to wipe their databases and say that she is no longer the registered owner of said license plate, which is just that's just wonderful.
So every state in the US deals with license plates themselves, which is why you can have different configurations, they just have different numbers and everything. It's one of these 50 little country things, and not all 50 little countries bother updating the copies of databases they have for other states, because there might be that there aren't a lot of people from New York State driving in North Dakota. But what's the point in paying however much the New York DMV wants them to pay for an updated copy of the database. So they don't bother. It's good enough. Unless there's something really serious. Yeah, until it isn't. That's what happens here. People don't. Everything will be hosted on different systems. There'll be no intercompatibility. I mean, the most interesting thing here is that the vanity plate renewal, the annual vanity plate renewal per year, is just under half the price in New York as it is in Massachusetts. That's my takeaway. Oh, that, and don't put a Star Trek number plate on your car.
Or do, because you're never going to get pulled for it.
Oh, you are, yeah. As long as you make sure it's from a different state, you're all right.
If you get the fake one, it's fine. We've made it through another week, I think is all we can say.
Yes, exactly. That's as good as it gets, really. Normal time recording next week, probably?
Yes.
Yes. I just thought worth mentioning that. Apologies for the day late. Okay, so all that's left is for me to remind you that between now and next time, you can give us any feedback, share your thoughts of the show at motoringpodcast.com, on Blue Sky, at Motoring Podcast on Instagram and Facebook, and on the contact page of motoringpodcast.com, the hub of all our activities. Remember, you can support us financially via Patreon, and please leave a review and rating on Apple Podcasts, YouTube, or however your podcast app lets you do such a thing. Andrew, what's the best way to get in touch with you?
Best way to get in touch with me is if you search for Crack Windscreen on Blue Sky, or you look on LinkedIn for my name. And Alan, if people would like to get in touch with you personally, what is the best way for them to do that?
These days, Blue Sky is best for me, where I'm at AJP Bradley. That's BRADLEY. We'll be back very soon, but until then, I've been Alan Bradley.
I've been Andrew Clues.
And safe motoring.